What's going down, everybody? It's your boy, that guy Mile High, tuning back in for another reaction. This time we got the top 10 cursed cars you were warned not to drive. But before we jump into that, man, like I said, we were going to start doing, giving praise to all the members of the channel right at the start. You know what I'm saying? So if you see your name here, we're gonna shout them out: Lynn, Ryan, Token, Taylor, Mad Creeker, Jane, Liz, Misty, Nugget, My Hood Life, and Gary. Shout out to you guys. You guys are all members, and I just wanted to give y'all special thanks. You know what I'm saying? If y'all want to hear your name or you want to see your name on the screen, go ahead and hit that join button down below. But without further ado, man, let's jump into this. We got top 10 cursed cars you were warned not to drive. All right, man, full screen, and let's do this. Oh, also do what you got to do: spark up, dab up, vape up, dip up, moonshot it up, sweet tea it up. Do what you got to do. Just go up. Maybe take a shot or two or three, because a couple is for me. If you can't do that, open up your mind, because ultimately that's the only way to go up anyway. Blah, 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 blah. Dang, we almost had it. But that's the only way to go up anyway. You know what I'm saying? Just open up that noggin and let's do this. Let's go.
Whether it's a ghost car, a car with a ghost at the wheel, or something even more strange and unexplainable, here are the top 10 cursed cars you were warned not to drive. Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have the Golden Eagle. This car was a 1964 Dodge 330 limited edition, and it has been blamed for the death of around 14 people. It was said that this
14 people? Oh yeah. Just leave it in the bushes. Send that shit to the crusher. You know, 14? Oh yeah, that's cursed.
Started out as a police car originally, but there were 3 officers assigned to this car who all ended up taking their own lives and other people's lives in horribly violent ways. Not in the car, but still super weird that this all seemed to happen after they had been using the car for work. Because of this strange correlation, it ended up being sold off to another man. Throughout the 80s and 90s,
the popo was like, you know what? Yeah, we don't want no more officers driving this car, using this car. Some bad juju with this. Go ahead and sell it off to some sad bloke out there in the world. Like, come on, man.
Said that because of the rumored cursed car, it became a point of interest for vandals. People began to vandalize the car only to meet their own untimely fates, which were all met in strange ways. For example, it was said that one vandal died from being struck by lightning, and another ended up having his head removed by an 18-wheeler. It is said that the curse is so strong that one person decided to merely touch the car, and it sent him into madness as he went on to commit atrocious crimes after that. The car now belongs to Wendy Allen, who supposedly collects and decorates haunted cars for a living, so it seems as though it's finally found its home. Far.
So she must be like the demon wrangler or something. You know what I'm saying? She's the demon wrangler. Because why is it that everybody else who touched that car, and like, I feel like we're missing the big picture here. Who is that chick? Why can she have all these haunted ass vehicles, and why could she touch and be around that car and decorate it and bedazzle that bitch and nothing happened? Everybody, like, one dude touched it and went crazy. 3 cops just drove it and used it for a work vehicle, killed themselves and killed other people. Like, what? Explain that shit to me. It don't make no sense.
Far away from everyone else.
Why is she
in our number 9
able to
spot
touch it,
today,
no
we
one
have
else?
James Dean's car. Famous actor James Dean passed away from a car accident on September 30th, 1955. He was driving his silver Porsche 550 Spider, which he had just purchased recently. This was only the beginning of the car's curse, however, as after James' passing, the remnants of the totaled car were bought by a man named George Barris. He decided to sell the parts of the car to James' fans, but when the car was being worked on and taken apart, it ended up falling on a mechanic and it crushed him to death. These 2 incidents are more than enough to now consider this car cursed, but it still continues on. Once the people who had purchased some of the car parts began receiving them, more strange things happened. 3 of the people who received parts ended up in car accidents, all of which were sadly quite severe. The shell of the car was also stolen, and to this day, it has never been recovered. In our number 8 spot today, we have the Black Volga. The story of the Black Volga starts off when it was realized that this limousine was found to be linked to multiple disappearances over the years. The incidents occurred in the 60s and 70s in Ukraine, and the stories are weird. Basically, the most well-known story pertaining to the vehicle says that one day 2 girls approached the limo and were suddenly sucked inside. A witness saw this happen and went up to the car.
Okay, hold up. Did she just say the limo? Isn't a limo a long stretched vehicle? You know what I'm saying? Something that's just, you know, outlandishly long. That looks like a little car. That don't look like a limo. You know what I'm saying? I mean, maybe you could be like, it's a nice luxury sedan that, you know, transports people from point A to point B. But you can say that about any car that's small, but that's not a limo. I'm just
There were
saying.
no signs of the people that he had just seen. Suddenly, this witness saw flashes of white lights, and the next thing they knew, they found themselves waking up several days later with a pounding headache. Apparently, other people have come forward with similar stories to this one, but no one can quite figure out what's behind this mystery. And some people even think that the black Volga is driven by Satan himself. In our number 7 spot today, we have the jumping car.
That's just
this is a weird story that comes to us from Cape Town, South Africa in 2004. One night, a family here who owned a Renault Megane were inside their home when they heard their car start up. Of course, they probably thought that somebody was trying to steal it, but when they looked in the car, no one was there. They decided the best thing to do would be to follow up on it, so they did end up calling the police to come to investigate. When the police got there, they weren't quite sure what to do with this story until, right in front of their own eyes, they watched the car with no one inside start up completely on its own, and this time it proceeded to plow right into a tree. After this crash, they investigated further and found out that the handbrake had been engaged. They, of course, contacted the car's manufacturer, who said that perhaps the car may have had a faulty or rusty starter, and while that is definitely quite a reasonable explanation, it fails to cover how this car seemed to hit the throttle all on its own.
Right,
I
was about to say, like, the starting thing, cool. You want to give me some weird logical, oh, the starter was rusted and it decided to just do its thing. Sure, fine. I'll let you have that one. Okay. Oh, the car rolled because the handbrake was not engaged correctly. Cool. I'll let you have that one too. But the fact that it seemed like it was forward momentum, like someone was pressing a gas pedal, that one, I'm not gonna let you get away with the not explaining and giving me some logical explanation for that. Okay? Go shit.
People believe that this car may have actually been haunted. In our number 6 spot today, we have the Sedan. Of course, it is well known that Bonnie and Clyde were the notorious criminal couple who completed a series of robberies and such back in the 30s. Their crime spree was brought to an end on May 23rd, 1934, when police surrounded their Ford Sedan and let somewhere around 100 bullets fly into it. Damn. Of course, this was the end of the couple, but their story...
Bro, that's like some young Dolph shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, only they weren't as fortunate to have bulletproof trucks and shit. You know what I mean? But damn.
Survived on, and that is exactly why the sedan that is riddled with bullet holes found its new home in Whiskey Pete's Casino in Nevada. It's definitely already quite creepy to look at, but there are visitors who claim that something more is going on. Many have suggested that they have felt some sort of presence that makes them extremely uncomfortable when they're anywhere near the car. Others have reported being able to actually see shadowy figures inside of the vehicle. Maybe in the end, Bonnie and Clyde are still around somewhere. In our number 5 spot today, we have JFK's Lincoln. Former United States President John F. Kennedy met an ill fate when he was assassinated during a visit.
Let me take that back. There's a bunch of weird people out there that would want JF Kennedy's, Lincoln that he was shot in. That's so weird, bro.
Dallas, Texas in 1963. On that fateful day, the then president was traveling in the motorcade in his Lincoln SSX 100. Because this is such a historical moment, the car, of course, wasn't used after that, and instead was part of the investigations before being turned over to the Henry Ford Museum in Michigan. It is here where people have reported some spooky happenings around the Lincoln. Many visitors have reported seeing a man in gray standing near the car, sort of like a shadowy figure that is keeping watch. It is also said that the most common time to see the gray man is during the month of November. This is quite peculiar considering the fact that JFK was actually killed on November 22nd. Could this be a coincidence, or is this the ghost of the former president? In our number 4 spot today, we have Elvis's Cadillac. Elvis was known as the king of rock and roll, and he was also known for his lavish...
You know what's so crazy is Elvis's Cadillac would probably go for more money than JFK's Lincoln. I'm just saying.
Beautiful red Cadillac. Since his passing, the car hasn't been seen very much, except for those who have apparently seen the ghost version of it. Apparently, many people have reported seeing quite a talented Elvis impersonator driving a red Cadillac through the area, only to realize that this is not the case at all when it suddenly disappears through a wall. At least this one isn't leaving people with creepy feelings or simulating accidents that scare people. Maybe the king of rock just wants to go for a cruise sometimes. If you ever take a trip to Graceland, keep your eyes peeled for the phantom red Cadillac. In our number 3 spot today, we have the van. Dr. Kevorkian was a man who is called an angel of death. Have you haven't heard of these people before, they are doctors who like to euthanize patients, normally against their will. I think there's a word for that. This piece of work was doing just that, and one of his most important tools was his large white van. Yeah, huge red flag already. The van later went on to have the nickname Deathmobile, and it made headlines again when it found its way into a pawn shop. The reason the person who had previously had it didn't want it anymore is because they claimed that there were strange occurrences that began happening once it was in their possession. This story led to paranormal investigator and ghost hunter Zach Bagan purchasing it. Apparently people who enter the van immediately feel just overwhelming sadness, and they also feel like there are unseen eyes that are watching them at all times. In our number 2 spot today, we have the Death Limo. Okay, so this car is not only apparently haunted, but it's a huge part of history as well. So the Graf and Stift Death Limo was the one that the Austrian Archduke Franz Ferdinand was in with his wife when it stalled outside of a cafe for seemingly no reason. It was here that the pair were killed, which is one of the events that really triggered the start of the First World War. This would already be quite the story, but things only continued on for this haunted car. Throughout the next 12 years, there are said to have been 13 more deaths that were attributed to the car. One man went crazy while driving the car. There was a military police officer who crashed it with other people inside. There was another owner who also crashed it. You know, just a lot of terrible things happening around one single car. The vehicle now sits in the War History Museum in Vienna. Now, here's the thing. You, like I am right now, would likely be thinking, after all of those accidents, the car should be absolutely totaled, right? Apparently, it's not, and this is just another thing that adds to the mystery surrounding it. In our number 1 spot today, we have the Surrey ghost car. On December 11th, 2002...
Bruh, like, I know cars back in the day was made out of, like, real metal and shit, but how does this thing get crashed that many times and it don't even look like it? Like,
a call came into the Surrey Police Department. The caller reported that they had just seen a car lose control and run off the road and then presumably crash. It was, of course, an emergency call, but not necessarily anything out of the ordinary. That was until authorities got to the location and realized that they couldn't find any kind of evidence of a crash. They kept searching, and they ended up finding a maroon-colored car that was nose down in a ditch nearby, but this car was covered in so much undergrowth that it must have been here for months. This means that somehow this crash went undetected for 5 months, and worst of all, so did the body that lay nearby. Using dental records, they were able to identify the body as a man who had been wanted for robbery since July of that year. It is said that the sighting of the car leaving the road was a ghostly replay of the events that had taken place 5 months prior.
So that's like some like that, what's that movie, like I can't remember the name, but where the dude like basically just keeps reliving the same moment over and over and over and over and over. That would suck.
That's been our list for today. Like, thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
That shit would suck. That would be wild, bro. He just sitting there crashing over and over and over and shit. Like, bruh. Till somebody found you for 5 months. Man. Anyways, yeah, I mean, hey, if a car has a problem, it's just, you know what I'm saying? Do your Carfax. Get your Carfax, you know what I'm saying? Just do yourself a favor. Carfax. I'm still concerned about the lady who has all the haunted cars and why she doesn't have anything weird happen to her. She's a demon. She's a witch. That's what it is. I'm calling it now. All right? All right, peace.